Hello there. It's your girl Valerie Mason Chase. And I hope y'all like that new intro. I made it a few days ago, and I'm not the most creative person. I was on the struggle bus with that for a little while. But anywho, welcome to another episode of Marriage Beyond the Breach. I appreciate anyone who's here, either live or later, because we know that time and distance is no obstacle for God. There's no barrier for God. He can reach us anywhere at any time and in many different ways. So, again, thank you so much for being here. So, we have tonight, this is what we're going to talk about. Oh, hey, sis. That's my sister Jackie. Tonight, we're going to talk about personality and temperament and how these can impact your relationship, how they can show up in a marriage. And tonight, I got a very special person here. She's been with us many times. It's someone I am very fond of. She was a former professor of mine, and she has her counseling practice here in PA, but I'm going to bring her on and let her tell you all about her beautiful self. Okay, here is none other than Kim Jetter. Hey, Kim.
Well, hello, Valerie. It's always good to be here with you. Thank you for having
Oh, I
me.
thank you for showing up, for taking the time, because Sunday evenings can sometimes be a little bit challenging. People are getting ready for the week to start. You've been to church, you've had dinner, and 7 o'clock you probably just want to lay down. But thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. So for those who are meeting you for the very first time,
Mhm.
will you share something about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I can share a little bit. So I am, I currently run a small practice in Pennsylvania. We have a team of five of us that work together. We do a lot of work around trauma. Um,
Mm.
it's funny, my journey has been a little bit different in that my going into counseling was a midlife career change. So I worked in, and as many of us, I believe that's the case for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
I worked in marketing and advertising and consulting for many years. And then
Yeah.
I recognized what I really love about it is the psychology of it. Like
Mm.
between like listening for what people say and what they don't say, what clients say, what they don't say, and
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
story that it tells and the drivers. It was fascinating to me how through advertising the people would just have a visceral response to something and
Yes.
even understand why. So I think the understanding and awareness and really appealed to me.
Yeah.
So here I am.
Mhm.
I have been counseling now for, gosh, what year is this? 2025.
Mhm.
So almost 15 years. And
Wow.
yes, and when I graduated from my master's program,
Uh-huh.
one of my dear friends said to me, "So when are you going to go back for your doctorate?" And I said, "After my brain heals." But here I am right now, like 13 years after someone said that is, or 14. I'm pursuing my doctorate in
Yes.
counseling and psychology ministries with a concentration in trauma. And
Wow.
I'm loving it. It's been,
Yes, that is amazing. That's amazing. And those of you who are on, just give a special shout out for Kim Jetta and some encouragement as she goes through a doctoral program because from all that I have heard, it is extremely challenging. And it's even more so when you are not just doing the doctoral work, but you were also engaged in a career. So show some love and encouragement for our sister Kim as she is going through her doctoral program. And this is the link to her website, the website to the counseling practice that is here in Pennsylvania. It's in
it's
what
in Southampton, Pennsylvania.
Southampton, Pennsylvania. Okay, Southampton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to for us to dive right in. And for those who are just joining tonight, we're talking about personality and temperament and how they can show up and impact our relationships. Our focus is on marriage and romantic relationships, but temperament and personality impacts all of our relationships, not just marriage. Although, here we talk more about relationships.
Yes.
So, to start out, Kim, can you just define for us personality and temperament? What are they? How do they differ? And how might they be connected?
Okay. Well, it's interesting. And I think the two words is kind of sometimes the simplest way, and then we'll expand. I'll expand
Hmm.
from there. But when you think of temperament, think of nature or biology.
Mm,
You're
hmm.
you're
Hmm.
born with a particular temperament. Some, babies are born with an easygoing temperament, and you notice that.
Mm,
I became a grandmother this year, and my granddaughter, whose name is Joy, and she lives up to her name. She
mm,
she has a very easygoing, really like lovely temperament. So it's just
yeah.
and also and very joyful. So I see that and she's only 4 months, and yet you can see the temperament coming out and I'm also seeing the personality come out.
Mm,
Personality is more based on nurture, right? So
okay.
experiences that we have, and interaction that we have with,
Yeah.
um, in our different environments, whether in our family of origin and in our school experiences, community settings, our personality can evolve and change over time. And like I think of myself as an example, when I was much younger, I considered myself to be an introvert.
Okay.
And I don't consider myself to be an introvert. I am definitely more on the extroverted side, but I'm also a bit of what is called an ambivert. Have you ever heard of an
No,
ambivert?
that's a new term for me. Ambivert. Okay, talk to me about that.
So, so on the personality scale, I am the most introverted of all of the extroverted types.
Oh, I see. On
So
the continuum.
yes, I
Okay.
so I ambivert is I love people, enjoy in people, and can talk but I really also value and enjoy my alone time to recharge and
Mm.
having some solitude. Sometimes twice a year, I like to go on a solo retreat and spiritual retreat, and it is a wonderful, wonderful thing for me. And it's
Hmm.
because the first time I did it, I said, "Oh, I'd like to do this again, but how am I going to tell my husband I want to go another weekend?" Well,
Yeah.
do you know that when I returned, he said, "You should do this some more."
Oh, see? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He saw I was a gentler, kinder Kim when I returned. Now it's just very important to know who you are and be tuned in to how
Yeah.
God has uniquely made you, so that, um, yeah, you can care for yourself well, which uniquely positions us to care for others well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. So, the way you explained it is our temperament
mhm,
is the nature side, and personality is more nurture.
yes,
So, temperament is just more innate,
as
and personality is based on more experiential.
yes,
With
more
that, okay,
yes,
okay.
it's definitely more experiential. The relationships we have, certain environments bring out certain things, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a person experiences a setting or an event, and people in the family say, "I never knew, like, saw that side of that person." Like certain brings out we're multifaceted gems in different environments,
Yeah,
bring out
yeah.
different parts of who we are. So
Mm,
that would be
okay,
the personality for sure.
okay.
You see that evolve.
So, when a couple first meet,
Hmm.
and sometimes they're drawn to their differences, that old saying that opposites attract. So why do you think opposites attract in the early stages of a relationship? Because sometimes that changes later on. But
Yes. Yes.
but in the beginning, so why do you think that happens in the beginning of a relationship?
Well, I think a lot of the time people are drawn to what they don't have and they see it
Mm,
as, oh, that person complements or brings a strength to the table that I don't have. And so together uh,
yeah.
we can like leverage. I'm attracted to what is very different from me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, you may have also heard this statement: opposites attract, but they don't last. I don't necessarily agree with that, but
Right.
that is
Mhm.
something to keep in mind. Now, I will say, I think any two types can make it work as long as they do the work, right? And
Yes.
the
Yeah.
mature, be mature and um, love one another well. So
Yeah.
um, and it's interesting because you'll see some couples where very similar, they're very similar in personality and temperament,
Mhm. Mhm.
who are opposite. And each can have very strong marriages and relationship. It's
Yeah.
just, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree with what you said, and I think a key, especially when their personalities and temperaments are um, almost polar opposites of one another,
mhm.
is a key factor from my perspective is learning to accept who your partner is
Yes.
and not try to change who they are. Because like you just said in the beginning, oh, it's so hunky dory. I'm looking for someone who doesn't have what I have and what they bring to the table. Because my husband and I, we are very 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 opposites. I am an extreme extrovert and he is an introvert, and that was cute in the beginning. But we've been together now for 45 years. So somewhere there in the middle, we started to really get on each other's nerves because I wanted him to be more like me and he wanted me to be more like him. I was like, well, why can't you just come on? Just talk to somebody, just have a conversation. And he was saying, why can't you just leave me the hell alone? And, but we are at a place now where not always, but we are more accepting of
Yes.
the differences in our temperaments and personality. Sometimes it can still be a struggle in social settings, but
Right.
we are a lot better at accepting each other now than we were many years ago. Yeah, it was kind of a struggle there.
No, I can relate to that. And it is a blessing though that you come to terms and accept what you each bring to the table. And you're right.
Yeah.
The opposites often attract, and then somewhere along the line, they think, well, I'm going to rub off on him, or
Mhm. Mhm.
he'll come around to seeing and doing things the way that I do. And,
Yeah.
um, so I think it is growth and to recognize God only made one him, he only made one you, and he did not create you to be him or him to be you.
Yes.
And so, what is it? Vive la différence.
That's right. And be okay with your partner perhaps being different than you.
Yes.
And it's not always the easiest thing to accept. But learning to accept it can help avoid a lot of conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of conflicts and a lot of arguments can be avoided if we just say, okay, well, that's him, you know, um, just check on his little self sitting over there every once in a while, make sure he's okay. And I'm going to go over here and talk to these folk, and every once in a while, and just accept that. And I think with my husband, he's learning to accept the fact that I am very gregarious and, outgoing, and I love to talk. I would talk to a tree if it talked back.
I believe.
So, yeah. So, and anyone who's watching, I invite you, if you have any questions for Kim or myself, or if you have any comments, What's it like? What has it been like in your relationship? Not just your romantic relationships, but what about your parent child relationships? Because our children very often have different temperaments
Mm,
than we have. So, what
yes,
has it been like for you in your romantic relationships, your family relationships, friendships, even at work?
yes,
Sometimes coworkers clash because we have different temperaments and personalities from each other.
absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think that's where the doing personality assessments can be really helpful with team building.
Mm,
We
mm-hmm.
all bring strengths and weaknesses to the table. And so, how do we leverage and build on the strengths that we share and then
Yes.
like recognize the differences and like so and then being aware of the weaknesses, not let them interfere with like moving forward and how we move
Yes.
forward. And it's interesting. I think I mentioned when I was younger, I was very introverted. And even into my early parenting years, um, my oldest son, though, is extremely extroverted. Even
Mm-hmm.
though when he was in like 5 or 6 years old, he said, "Mom, I'm really shy. So when I feel shy, I just walk up to people and say, 'Hey, I'm Isaiah.'" And I said, "I'm not shy."
That's cute.
So he like just his gregarious, outgoing nature
Mm-hmm.
actually I started getting more involved in different things and you know
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were very involved in, you know, church performances and different things, and so
Yeah.
it's been a good journey. It's been
Yeah. And it was interesting to see when you have more than one child as
Mhm.
they grow up and develop to see how their personalities shape
Yeah.
and the differences between them. Now they've grown up in the same house, same mother, same father,
Mhm.
but sometimes they are as different as night and day.
That's right. And I imagine you have some
Oh
ex-
yeah, uh-huh.
yes, my and I'll share an example with my two sons and the differences that they have. Like one is very like more logical, concrete, and he's into law. That's what he does by trade.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lawyer, and then
Mm-hmm.
my other he's more creative, but like he's actually going into engineering. So when they
Mm,
were very little, we would go visit a family member, and sometimes getting a parking spot was challenging. So
mm-hmm.
we're going to pray that we get a parking spot as soon as we arrived. And so we got there, and there was lo and behold, there was a parking spot.
Yeah.
Well, my one son said, "Oh, an angel must have stood there and held the space for us." And my other son said, "No, we just pulled in when somebody else just pulled out." Maybe it's a little of both.
Exactly. Oh, yes,
So
yes.
just the perception, right? Like what we see is filtered through like the character and
Mhm.
given us in the temperament and nature. Um, Years ago, I read a book called Self-Esteem Gift from God. And it was
Mm.
such a blessing to like recognize that there's no coincidences in terms of how we're shaped and how we're wired, and that
Yes.
for the building of the body of Christ, right? We can't all
Mhm. Mhm.
be an ear or a nose. We all play a part in the health and growth. So, and whether it's in a work
Yeah.
setting, in our family setting, relationship, um,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
there definitely can be personality clashes um, in especially workplace, all of the above,
All
all.
of the above, anywhere. So speaking of those clashes, so what are some common ways that some of these personality clashes might show up in marriage, especially as it pertains to communication, conflict resolution, or decision making?
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the ways that it can show up, especially when there's an extrovert and an introvert. Um, Very often, the extrovert wants to talk it out, like let's talk this through, let's talk it out right now.
Mm.
Whereas the introvert wants to have some time to go to
Mhm.
process it inside, think about what they want to say, and then come back. Um, and here's the thing: neither one is wrong. It's both their way of protecting and fighting for the health of the relationship. But
Yeah.
the one's perception is, I don't want to say something that's going to add fuel to the fire, and the other one's, no, we can't let sleeping dogs lie. We got to get to the bottom of this
Yeah.
and sort this through. So,
Mhm.
but recognizing that you don't have to be at odds with each other, and how can you give each other what you need in that space, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes for the extrovert, it's like, well, are we going to come back and talk about it? Or, and then the introvert is, I just need a minute. So even a simple, like, managing, just saying, you know what, I need about a good 15 to 20 minutes to just see what I'm thinking about this. And then may I come back? And then it's like, okay, yeah, let's circle back
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
And I always say, be mindful of the timing of those conversations, because, the halt, if you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired,
That's not a good time.
that's not, it's not,
Actually, that those are the worst times
those
to
are,
try to have any deep, meaningful conversation. So, you know what? I wanted to just piggyback on what you said because I know that you do a lot of EFT work in your counseling. So that kind of aligns with the whole pursuer avoider concept,
it
right?
absolutely does. The pursuer withdrawer, and often the withdrawer
Mm-hmm.
is more introverted, and the pursuer tends to be a bit more extroverted.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
even in that alone, and yet they're each fighting for the
Yeah.
relationship. So it is interesting how the temperament also plays into, and personality is in that arena. And
Yeah.
there's so many different personality types, and also ways of understanding different personality types.
Mm-hmm. 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 So I want to give a shout out to Miss Ollie. Hey, Miss Ollie, thanks for tuning in. And we're talking about temperament and personality and how they can impact our marriages, our romantic relationships. And feel free if you have a question, if you have a comment, you or anyone else who is listening, just put it right there in the chat. And Kim is going to be all over it. I ain't making no promises, but Kim's going to be all over
Miss Valerie Wilson.
it.
Yeah.
So, what about when it comes to making decisions? How might that process be impacted by the differences in temperament and personality?
So, and I know this not always the case, but often um, introverts can tend to be more conservative when it
Mm,
comes to decisions. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
one area where there can be clashes and differences is in the area of finances, and
Ah,
you know
yeah,
the
yeah.
like philosophy of versus saving, and um, like figure getting on the same page about how to how to make decisions in ways that doesn't demean the other. And one of the things too with making decisions, I think what can happen with extroverts and introverts can, because of their introverted nature, they can tend to think everything is their fault, or they can, like,
Mm,
the extrovert, and the extrovert might say, it is your fault. If you would just be like, it doesn't work out. So
yeah.
that
Wow.
person who's the introvert and is more withdrawn can be hesitant to voice their opinion, they're nervous
Yes.
to get shot down, or so just really recognizing and valuing how God made your spouse.
Hmm.
And
Wow. That comment that you just made, it really hit differently because you've just described one of the dynamics between my husband and myself because he's the introvert, I'm the extrovert.
Mhm.
And very often when I will approach him with the conversation or a concern, a conversation about a concern,
Mhm.
his typical first response is, so, oh, you're saying it's my fault. Oh, so it's all on me. You're laying the blame all over here. And I try to tell him, no, babe, I'm not saying that it's your fault, but it's a concern I have. And I
Mhm.
want us to address it, have this conversation, and figure out how we can fix this issue. Because it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about we. And
Absolutely.
because he and sometimes sometimes he'll accept that and sometimes he won't because he will still go throughout the conversation thinking that he's being blamed for something when a lot of times he's not.
Right. And that's the furthest thing. You're just saying, okay, let's
Let's
come together
talk.
like about this challenge we're facing, right?
Yes,
Up
yes. Hmm.
to work through the challenge. But yeah, that often the introvert or the withdrawer thinks, okay, I'm being told it's my fault when that's
Yeah.
definitely see that dynamic,
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
EFT work and just even attachment needs, right? Like what each is needing in the moment and
Yes.
yeah, having challenges with the vulnerability of
Hmm.
sharing those needs. And so,
Yeah. Something I just thought about,
mhm.
and I wonder if there's ever been any studies done regarding the connection between temperament and birth order.
Oh, that's a good one. I That would be very interesting. I'm not aware of any offhand, but I think
Hmm.
there's some merit and value to looking at that because often the firstborn tends to be more extroverted
Hmm. Hmm.
and like the middle child sometimes is more introverted.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just and the baby, right? Each one has a different role.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and it's funny because I in my family of origin, for a very long time I was smack dab in the middle of five children, the third, so
Hmm.
that's the peacemaker. So you're
Yeah.
this, and I think God was already preparing me for counseling. You're saying this, and you're saying this, so we can do this.
Mm.
Different
Hmm.
personalities, and
Wow.
yeah. So it's I don't what birth order are you in your family?
I'm what old folks would call the knee baby. That means I'm next to the youngest.
Ah,
Yeah, I have
okay,
three older siblings, and then there's myself and my younger sister Jackie. So I
okay.
was a knee baby, and there's 9 years between myself and my sister Jackie.
Oh, so you were the baby for a long
I
time.
was the baby for a long time, and I wasn't too fond of not being the baby anymore. But
It's an adjustment.
yeah, it was an adjustment because myself and my two brothers, we were relatively close in age because there was only 2 years apart between the three of us.
Okay.
The next one, Michael, was 2 years older than me, and Junior was 2 years older than him. And then our older sister Claudia, oh my gosh, between Junior and her, there had to be at least maybe 15 years
Okay, so there is a
between.
big
There's a big gap.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Hmm.
interesting, well, that you say that my oldest sister is 6 years older than me, and then my brother's 4 years older than me. So it was not too far apart. Then my
Hmm. Hmm.
sister is 3 years younger, and my brother was 4 years younger. And then my
Yes.
youngest brother, as I said, I was in the middle for a long time.
Hmm. Hmm.
My youngest brother is 13 years younger than me. So kind
Mm.
of there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
something that I think is a factor also is the difference the difference in parenting because a first child is parented very different than the second or third or fourth or fifth child. I was having that conversation with a couple that I was counseling sometime last week or the week before, and they have one child, they have a daughter.
Hmm.
who is about 8 or 9 years old, and they are extremely, extremely overprotective helicopter parents.
Mm.
And and they were saying, "Oh, we just have this one child." And I said, "Well, let me just tell you this: but if you were to have a second child, you would probably parent that second child very differently. Not saying that you wouldn't be protective at all, but it tends to lessen a little bit with the second child. And by the time you had a third child, by the time I had my third child, Jonathan, I was dragging him around by his ankle, very different than I did Sidel, who was my firstborn, because I mean, the covers could barely touch her and I'm hovering over her. But yeah, so I think that's a factor also
Yeah.
because we parent each child differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
Mhm.
has a lot to do with shaping the personality.
Personality, right.
And so that child who has the hovering helicopter, they might be like more hesitant to kind of venture out
Out in the world, yes. And trust.
and trust.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Whereas by the time you get to the third or fourth child, you know,
It's different.
it's different. And I even see that with my son and daughter-in-law, with their daughter. It's like, no screens, no TV around. Like,
Mm,
it's and I understand it's the firstborn, so it's a
yeah,
process. It's a
very
process.
different. Yeah, my sister Jackie said, "Oh, and I'm glad that she came along." Yes, I am, sis. I am very happy that you came along, and I am blessed to have you as my baby sister.
Mhm.
So, Miss Kim, are there specific temperament traits, perhaps, that tend to create more recurring challenges for couples?
It's interesting that you say that because um, there is, well, as I said, there isn't one trait like personality or temperament that's better than the other. But I will say, um, like one of the oldest temperament types, it's called the four temperaments, and it comes out of ancient Greek theory.
Mm,
One of those types is called the choleric. And
yeah, I'm familiar with those. Yeah. Uh huh.
so with the choleric or another, the color type, the cholerics would be the reds, or in the disc, they would be the lion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, on the disc, it would be the dominance. And then the animal one, it would be the lion.
Lion.
So there's, with unchecked, there can be a tendency to have it's my way or the highway type approach
Mm,
to things. And this is the right way to do it. And you need to fall in line. And
mm.
so, and sometimes cholerics can come across a bit abrasively. So that is one that sometimes people who are, say, uh, like sanguines or more introverted types can struggle with a bit because of the stronger personality, the stronger way that that person comes across.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've ever encountered that in any of your work or teams? Okay.
With couples. Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And the interesting thing is that, again, in the beginning, there was that connection where they felt drawn to one another.
Right.
But then after a while, especially the one with that personality that would fall into the category of more choleric, um, and the other one there with the sanguine, they kind of clash.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the
Yes.
sanguine kind of backs away a little bit
Mhm.
because the other comes does come on very strong. That's the type of individual who said, I just tell it like it is. I shoot from the hip. I'm not how is it? Some of the phrases that are used.
Tell it like it is.
I tell it like it is. Yeah, yeah. And I'm not babying her or I'm not babying him. Yeah.
I'm not going to
Mhm.
sugarcoat it or
I'm
soften
not going to
it.
sugarcoat it. Right.
And
That's
there's
a favorite phrase that I hear a lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
right.
Yeah, but sometimes our words need a little sugar
Yes.
because the Bible tells us the Bible doesn't tell us and not to speak the truth, but
No,
just to speak the truth in love.
Amen. Amen.
The love is the sugar
Hmm.
that has to accompany those words that sometimes, if they're not presented in the right way, can be extremely hurtful.
Yes, that is very true. And
Yeah.
that's a prime example of the opposites attracting.
Mm-hmm.
The choleric and the sanguine get together, and the sanguine's like, oh, they're going to protect me, or they're, you know,
Yeah.
um, and then it's like, well, wait, now then later on they feel like, well, you're crushing my spirit, or you're like not letting me express who so that,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
I think, and again, any two types work well when they're willing to do the work and there's maturity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of the traits that can sometimes develop in cholerics is like being a little bit of the control factor.
Mm-hmm.
So just being aware of that
Yeah.
tendency, and we're just working out our salvation with fear and trembling, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Lord,
I hear something scraping. Is there anything in there, Bleak? Something is something touching your mic or
maybe that. Okay, is that better? Or do
okay, that's
you
good. No, it's not a constant thing. Every once in a while I'll hear something that sounds like a little scraping sound. So
okay,
I'll
okay,
let you know the next time I hear it, but I'm not hearing it right now.
okay.
So can you for those who may not be familiar with those four temperament types, can you just name them?
Yes.
Hmm.
So there's and I'll actually correlate them to the different personality types across different approaches to it. So
Hmm.
four temperaments, the ancient Greek one that you're familiar with, the sanguine is the one who is very sociable, outgoing, and loving, and like let's have fun, spontaneous.
Hmm. Hmm.
In the color type, it corresponds to the yellow, right? The yellow joy, and then in the animal personality type, that would be the otter. The otter.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then in the disc, which is often used in work contexts, that one would be the like the influencer. The influence is, and which is the I. So that's so sanguine. Now,
Hmm.
with the melancholic, that personality type is very tends to be more serious, like things have to be done a certain way. They tend to be more introverted, right? So of
Hmm.
these four types, two are more introverted, two are more extroverted. So the melancholic is more introverted. You often find accountants are melancholic type.
Mm,
They're
mhm,
very detail oriented. They like want to like they are analytical, um, and want to do things the right way.
mhm, mhm,
In the color type, it's the blue, and then in the animal, because it helps you to understand, it's the beaver. The beaver is like, let's
mhm, mhm.
build the dam, and so
Yes.
they'll like faithfully continue to work. Like whereas the sang was like, let's go to the beach, and then so for the in the disc, that's the conscientious one, the one like duty. You have to
Mhm,
get things
mhm.
a certain way, but they can tend to. It's interesting that their color is blue because they can be like their name, melancholic,
Melancholy.
be
Mhm.
subject to experiencing being a little bit down at
Yeah.
times, and so the I think I mentioned the cleric is the extroverted red lion dominance. The last one is the phlegmatic,
Mhm.
and they are they're like the golden retriever. So you go across the different types. Um, their color is green, golden retriever, steadiness. They're very faithful and loyal.
Mm.
Always count on them. They're also more of an introverted type. So the cholerics and the sanguines are more extroverted,
Extroverted. Yeah.
and the melancholic and the phlegmatic are the introverted types.
Mm.
So it's really interesting that how sanguines and cholerics come together.
Yeah.
Um, remind me of what the first the question was about. Oh, just how the different personalities.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
I just wanted you to just share those personality, those four temperaments,
Or temperaments.
the associated personality types for those who may not be familiar.
Yes, and
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that because I have to be careful because sometimes people refer to those as personality types, but these are actually temperament.
temperaments. Yeah.
Whereas
Hmm.
the Myers-Briggs is more personality types. So there's 16 personality types.
Hmm.
Even though there's, you know, some of the key ones are extrovert, introvert, um, intuitive, and sensing, and then there's judging and perceiving. It combines to 16 different.
Just combine them together. You might be an INJ or yeah, some.
INTJ, they call the mastermind, the
Hmm.
the healer, there's
Yeah, yeah.
ENFP, the champion. And here's the thing, it's sometimes people say, well, wait, we're the same personality type, but I feel like we're different. Well, it's not just the letters, it's the percentage to which you are that
Each
type,
one, right,
each one,
right.
right? Because so for a
Hmm.
person who's like 53% extroverted versus the one who's 99
Yeah.
that is going to talk to
Yes.
talking with anyone in any setting. So
Yeah.
I think it's that's why I think it's they can serve these understanding of this can help like strengthen the relationship, but it's not you don't stop there and say, oh well I know who you are now because I know the
Right.
we
So
still
do you think it's important for each partner to understand their own as well as their mate's personality and temperament in order to have a healthier relationship? And that's part one to the question. And part two, do you administer any of the personality tests to your either individual clients or couples?
yes and yes. So yes, I do think it is very valuable, and I actually
Hmm.
have couples um, do the Myers Briggs, and sometimes I'll have them do the Enneagram as well. Um,
Oh, yeah, that can you get a lot of information from that Enneagram as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that has a different approach, but it is also from a more ancient um,
Mhm.
theory. But it's interesting that sometimes how couples can um, look at their partner as "Oh, they're doing this to me." It's like, oh, this is how God wired them, like
Mhm.
who they are,
Yeah.
instead of looking at it as detrimental. Let's like, how can it be something that is a building point,
Yeah.
something that is represents an opportunity for growth for the couple to learn more about each other.
Yeah. I think that that is absolutely a great point because I know last week we were talking about the four agreements, and one of them is to not take anything personally. And
Mhm.
sometimes a partner will ask, "Well, how can I not take it personally? That's my husband or that's my wife."
Mhm.
Because just as you said, we think that they are doing something to us or against us when this is really, as you said, this is them. This is how God wired them. Now, obviously, there are some adjustments that we all can make given the relationship that we're in, but the core of who we are doesn't necessarily change.
No, it's that's true that the temperament can stay stable typically across time. What does
Mhm.
change is our awareness and understanding of who we are
Yes,
and how we impact others and how they impact us. And how do we how do we live, asking ourselves, how do we navigate? How do we live now in light of this in ways
yes,
um, honoring to God and the other person involved, and also
hmm,
valuing my own needs
yeah.
in that dynamic.
So, given that, let's say the couple has had personality or temperament assessments, whether it's Myers Briggs, the four temperament model, Enneagram, and now they have this level of awareness and they recognize those differences. So now, what steps can they take to navigate them in a way that will strengthen their marriage and rather than harm their marriage?
Okay, that's one of the absolutely one of the things I'll sometimes give as a homework assignment for couples is to, after they do the assessment, they exchange, they have a conversation, and they also exchange, have their spouse read through
Mm,
strengths and weaknesses and how that might play out in their like partnership, their romantic partnership, how it plays out in their parenting, how it affects
yeah,
decisions when it comes to big decisions, the way they approach them, and it helps them to recognize, oh, this person isn't out to get me. This is a value, right? Like
mm,
a value
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
they have, and so it helps them to um, take a step back and see from a like, oh, I was looking at this through this lens, and maybe there's another way to see,
Yeah,
like, this person is doing this because they love me and our family, and yet and I'm doing it for the same reason. So how can we come together and talk about that? And
mm-hmm.
it helps to reduce some of the it helps to disarm what leads to arguments, right?
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
understanding helps them to um, see the other as the enemy, instead of intimate enemies. It's like, oh, okay, this is a challenge that we're facing together as a couple, and we're going to come together as a couple to overcome the challenge. So that's a
yeah.
big part of it.
Yeah, that's good. Now they are creating a shared strategy so that they're not working at cross purposes, but they're actually aligned and working going in the headed in the same direction with a specific agreement.
Yes, yes, and I talk about that often with clients is, understanding where they are in alignment and how can they.
Okay, so here I'm hearing that scraping again just now. Did anything come?
Maybe it was a paper that I had in mind. Do you know? Okay, how's that? Is that a little? Is that better?
Okay, yeah, it might have been the paper might have been on the mic area or something and not realizing.
Okay.
But that's okay. Yeah, we good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it does help couples when they can step back and see, like, oh, these are qualities like given given and imparted by the Creator.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
just the curiosity to understand. Oh, like even approaching your spouse and saying, "Hey, I really want help me understand, how did you get to where you how did you arrive at that conclusion? How did you come to the place where you felt like this is the best way
Yeah.
to approach navigating this decision?" And then they can really like, understand, and that's it. The listening to understand versus listening to make the other person understand where they're coming from.
Oh yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, that is so good because sometimes we think that's what we're doing, that we're understanding, but we're really trying to convince our partner to come over to our side and agree with um, our perception or our way of wanting to navigate the issue.
Yes, and that does not work.
No, it absolutely does not work at all.
No. So there's it. I think it helps couples value what each brings to the table when they take a step back and
Hmm.
listen to understand. 'Cause that trying to make the other person understand is No.
Oh, trying to convince, yeah, that's no good. It doesn't work. You know, that
Yeah.
does not work at all. And and the funny thing is, Frank and I just shook hands and made an agreement just this afternoon.
Hmm.
I said, listen, because sometimes when our personalities clash, they clash, and we end up bickering. Okay. And I said, no, I don't want any more bickering. We're not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to try to convince you of anything. No, first I said, you're not going to try to convince me of anything. And he said, but Val, what about you? I said, yeah, I can acknowledge, and I won't try to convince you of anything. So we'll just have a conversation. And if there's not an understanding, we'll just agree to disagree. But the bickering has got to stop. Me trying to convince you and you trying to convince me.
That's right. Because that you like. I'm right. Right. What is it? What they say when someone pushes, what do you automatically do? You want to push back.
Push back.
So it's like, okay, how
Yeah.
about how can you lead? How can you engage from a place of invitation,
Mm-hmm.
inviting your spouse um, to understand, and you're inviting, like you're in seeking invitation to try and understand them and where they're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
it is not.
So
It's not easy though,
I
because
know.
I've been definitely been in that place where I was going to make my husband understand. It's like, Kim, you know better.
Yes.
Not work.
I have to remind myself of that sometimes too, that I know better. And sometimes he has to remind me that I know better. Yeah. He has to remind me sometimes that I do know better. Yes, I do. But sometimes, the counselor hat comes off and the wife hat goes on, and the counselor knowledge and tools go out the window. Sometimes, I mean, I can just acknowledge that, because the truth is the truth, because that happens. Because yes, I am a counselor, but I'm also human and subject to the same frailties, human frailties, as anyone else. Now, do I have the ability to rein myself in and self reflect and say, okay, Val, you need to correct yourself here. You know the right thing to do and utilize the tools that I know to use. Yes, I can do that. But it doesn't mean that sometimes Sister Val can go left.
Mm, that's right. That's right. Because we can get emotionally hijacked, and then the reasoning goes
It's
out the.
out the window. It's out of the window. Yeah. So, what would be one takeaway or one piece of advice or encouragement that you would give to couples who feel as if their differences are just too big to overcome? What would you say to them?
Yeah. Well, for definitely not. I would definitely encourage them to, go online, take the 16personalities.com to see their Myers Briggs personality, and then go out on a date and
Mm,
have
that's good.
some conversation, some dialogue where they both have the bandwidth to have that conversation. Um, Not in a heightened moment where there's emotions are heightened, but when they're kind of relaxed, they can
Yes.
be present with each other and, you know, listen, ask questions, and have a real exchange.
Mm-hmm.
That is really helpful. And then sometimes it's helpful to either meet with a marriage coach or a counselor, or even another couple that they really, they value what that couple has gone through, and like a
Yeah.
mentoring couple. I think that is really helpful for especially younger couples, or even for more seasoned couples. Sometimes you have another couple that you serve as peer support from one.
Yes.
The other thing I would definitely say can be helpful is, and we were talking about this before, like marriage enrichment weekends, because those can be times where you really like set everything else aside
Yes.
and really just focus on your relationship with your spouse and building that relationship.
Yeah, that's very, very good. Before we came on the air, I was telling you that Frank and I just got back this afternoon from a marriage retreat given by the couple that was on last week. For anyone who was here last week, actually, the wife was on alone last week because the husband was busy. But their business slash ministry is Marriage Built to Last, and every year they have a couples fest down in Maryland, and Frank and I went for the weekend, and it was really, really phenomenal. And I love being in the presence of like-minded couples who are there to focus on strengthening their connection and strengthening their relationship, all for the glory of God,
Mm,
because there is just so much negativity out there about marriage and about relationships. So when you can be in presence of couples like that and just have fun, just have a good time, because people say marriage is work, yeah, but it's not drudgery kind of work. It's not the work where you got this sack on your back and you're doing this heavy work. It
yes.
work in terms of effort, putting in the effort
Hmm.
to help enrich your relationship so you can have that strong connection, that bond where you can talk about anything. And even when you have an argument, it does not negatively impact that emotional connection.
Yes.
That's the key, to be able to argue and remain strong.
That's right. That's absolutely, and I 100% agree with you on that because, like you
Mhm.
said, it's an investment. That was,
Right.
and that's what you were talking about. It's an investment.
It's an investment.
Yeah,
Yeah, but isn't it amazing how so many people will invest in everything else except their marriage?
and they think it's supposed to be just easy, effortless.
Yeah.
Everything else that we're willing to work for, right? We go to get our degrees. We like study to become skilled, a skilled nurse, right?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely. Yeah. And spend money on clothes and shoes and jewelry and pocketbooks and all that sort of thing, but
mm-hmm.
won't spend money to invest in the health of their relationship, the health and the harmony.
Yes, yes, and that is so that's good. The health and the harmony, right? The
Yeah.
Psalm 133, right?
Hmm.
And it is when brothers live together in unity, when
Yeah.
husband and wife can dwell together. In,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, for those of you who are listening, I have up on the screen the information for the future Dr. Kim Jetter's website. Her business is Jetter Counseling and Associates.
it's actually Jetter and Associates Counseling.
Jetter and Associates Counseling here in the great state of Pennsylvania. So if you or someone you know lives in PA and they could benefit from some counseling, and every relationship. See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't wait.
Mm.
Don't wait until things are so bad and you're right at the end at that whether the last string, what do you call it?
Yes, on the
At
last thread, you're on the
the last thread, and the
off.
next right, and the next step is divorce. Don't wait until you get there, because even a good marriage could use a touch up every now and then.
Yes, exactly.
So don't wait until you feel like, oh, if we don't go get some help, I'm leaving, or he's leaving or she's leaving. Don't wait to get to that point, because when you speak to someone like Kim Jetter, who can help you to navigate those challenges in your relationship, can make a world of difference. So even a good marriage could be great. And a great marriage can even be better, because none of us have a marriage that is 100%. There is always room for growth,
Yeah.
because every year, 5 years, 10 years, we as individuals, we are growing. And with growth comes change. And some of that change impacts our relationships. So
Mhm.
we need to check in to see what are those areas that we need to address so we can get back on the same page, because it's been 5 years, it's been 7 years, it's been 8 years. You've grown, he's grown, and
Right.
you might be misaligned in some areas where you need to get realigned, like
Yeah.
a car.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. We need regularly need those marriage tune-ups and recalibrate. Let's do it.
Absolutely, because when a car is needs an alignment, it don't drive right. It's all rickety, and it
Mhm.
takes more effort to keep it straight.
That's right.
That's the same thing in a marriage.
Hmm.
When we are out of alignment, it takes so much more effort, and some of that effort is not easy. It can be very challenging to keep it steady.
Yeah.
Where if we go in for a regular tune, easy peasy, lemon breezy. I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's how I'm saying it.
That's how I
So anyhow, Kim, I want to thank you so much for being here. And guess what, y'all? She's going to be back next week.
Yep. Can't
Next
wait.
week, we're going to be looking at transforming conflict to
Mm,
connection. And I know, Kim, that is your baby. That is your wheelhouse. And I am so looking forward to that. Transforming conflict to connection, because
mm,
that is a vital, vital part of maintaining that harmony in your relationship. So I want to thank you, Kim. I want to thank you, those who are watching live or later on. Come back again next week, Sunday, 7 p.m. The future Dr. Kim Jeter is going to be here. And if anyone is still here, just give a shout out for Kim and thank her for her appearance. As always, Kim, I appreciate you so much. And I'm looking forward to our conversation next week. It's going to be great. It's going to
as,
be great.
as am I. Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone. See y'all next week.